fellas, I'm coming back at you. This is like the 5th time I've tried to record this video. But we're just getting out of the gym from the evening session. We worked at the 265. Didn't get 265 for the max of this session. And I didn't go for that second try. Now you might be asking yourself, well, holy buckets, Anthony, why didn't you go for that second try? That's so unlike you, you know? Well, I have my reasons. And I'm about to get into that. So, you know, usually if I fail a max, I'll try over and over and over and over and over again until I cannot lift the weight at all. And you might be thinking, well, man, that's pretty stupid. Why is he doing that? And my experience, right, which granted is only about 6 months of serious lifting, I've had a couple PRs that way, you know, and that was weird. And you never know what you got in the gas tank. I'm telling you, you don't know. That's why you just keep trying. I remember one day, this was for 200, believe it or not. This was a couple months ago, you know, couldn't even bench 200. And I remember that day, you know, first I tried it with no equipment, you know, and then I didn't get that. So I'm thinking, well, frick, I'm so close to 200 right now. Let me put on my equipment. Okay, let me put on a belt. Okay, I put on my belt. I failed. Okay, I failed that. Well, I'm not done. Let me put on my knee sleeves. Okay, I put on my knee sleeves. I failed with that. Okay, let me put on my elbow sleeves. I failed with that. Let me put on my shoes so maybe I can get a little bit more stable placing. I failed with that. I put a towel on the bench so that I'm not slipping and sliding on the bench. I failed with that, you know? And then I put chalk on my hands. I failed with that. On top of everything, I failed with that. So what am I getting at? All it took was 9 attempts, I want to say. And what did it was bringing my grip in just a little bit closer. Bringing that hand placement in just a little bit closer. And that was it. I was in the 200s. So, you know, you don't have to try over and over and over every session. You don't have to do that. At the same time, and this is especially true if you have equipment, you know, if you got a belt, if you got chalk, if you got some good lifting shoes, you know, use what's in your arsenal. Use what you have. And you'll surprise yourself. You know, I've been benching just, what was it? Because I was still using my elbow sleeves when I first started going to a public gym, just because last year, April of last year, I ended up getting injured, I want to say, or no, it might have been April of, yeah, it was like April of 2023, I ended up getting an elbow injury. And I was dealing with that up until December of 2024. But that's the past, whatever. All I'm saying, though, is use what you got, you know? If you got smelling salts, use the smelling salts, you know? Learn how to amp yourself up with the smelling salts. If you got a certain song that you've been thinking about maxing to, well, go and pick the song. If you got a belt, put on the belt. If you got the shoes to really plant yourself down, well, put on those shoes. If you got a towel to really anchor yourself down to the bench so you're not slipping, well, then put the towel on the bench, you know? Use whatever you can. And you'll surprise yourself. And I know I'm getting a little bit off topic, but, you know, I've been benching without equipment for the past 4 months, I want to say. Almost 4 months. And fellas, from 200, or let's see, I don't think I was benching 225 prior to joining a public gym. So, you know, from not even benching 225, you know, I think like 215 was my max 4 months ago, to benching I'm just going to say it, from benching to 270, come on, you know, and that's raw. That's with no equipment. So I guarantee you, and this is my plan, you know, I would love to say that there's enough time in this year for me to be fully satisfied with this hypertrophy block and that I can just go straight back into strength training, solely strength training. I know that I've dedicated most of my time this year to strength training, and I want to give hypertrophy a good chance, especially at a higher body weight. You know, I'm almost 300 pounds. I want to get as much out of 300 pounds as I can. So I'm in my head, and I'm probably going to follow through with this. No, I am going to follow through with this. I am going to be focusing on hypertrophy and bodybuilding, right? Trying to build up as much muscle as I can for the next couple of months until January, March, April, July, August, September, October, November, until November. And then when November hits, it's game time. It is game time. And then that's when I'm gonna start lifting at home again. I'm gonna still have those sessions up at up at the public gym. Of course I am. But y'all are gonna see me lift at home. And I'm telling you, I'm a different animal when I'm at home. When I have free reins to just yell and scream at the top of my lungs, and y'all gonna see it, when I post those clips, I'm a different animal. And there's no judgment in my garage, you know what I'm saying? If I feel like putting chalk and just lathering up my hands for bench press, brother, I'm gonna do that. If I feel like, tightening the shit out of my belt, I'm gonna do that. If I feel like putting on my compression sleeves and my elbow sleeves in order to lift more weight, I'm gonna do that, I've done all of my lifts raw, with the exception of using a belt for deadlift and squat and chalk. Okay, so let me take that back. Maybe I'm talking too much. I'll use some chalk and a belt for deadlift. And then for squat, I'll just use a belt. But for bench, I use nothing. So I guarantee you, granted I don't get injured again, hopefully that does not happen. God forbid that happens. I'm going to be making some good progress these last 2 months of this year, and y'all are going to see it. I'm going to be posting those videos. Y'all are going to see it. And it's going to be very good progress on top of the progress that I'm going to make in, let's see, what month is it? It is January, March, April, July. It is August. So I got about 3 months or 2.5 months to really get as much as I can in this muscle building phase. And like I said, man, I'm gonna still be trying to put on strength during this size. I'm gonna hit a max before every hypertrophy set or whatever, at least for my main lifts, which are the powerlifting movements, the squat, deadlift, and bench. I'm gonna be hitting a max for those, and I'm gonna be shooting for that PR every single max session, which is every day. Not every day as of right now, because I got this lower back strain, but trust me, that's going away, and that's going away really fast. By next week, I'm telling you, we might be cooking with the deadlift. I'm telling you. Only time will tell, Right now, these are just words. But I'm gonna keep posting up the videos. I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna stick to it. And I'll be honest, I used to record myself a lot lifting, but it was kind of different. It just felt different. I'll say this. I feel like I got to get used to lifting in front of my camera again, which I'll get used to it. Only thing that I'm hesitant of is the fact that, if I can push myself really hard with the camera on and really push it with the camera on, okay, well, that's cool. Who am I when the camera turns off, though? Am I going to be able to push it as hard? I think I will. When it comes down to each and every single max and every single set, I lock into the set, and I'm not thinking about anything else except that set. But I'm gonna let y'all go. It's been 10 minutes. Hey man, I'm kind of uploading these videos pretty good, huh? So yeah, I'm gonna go home. I don't know, I gotta make something to eat, and then I gotta go to bed. So that's the plan. Tomorrow we rest up, and I'm gonna make another check-in video. another chicken video. And then Monday rolls around. That's leg day. And we're going to see what happens leg day. We're going to push it. Last leg day was brutal. It was brutal. Man, I wish I recorded that. That was tough. That was on the brink. That was tough. That was the most difficult session I've ever had, man. The most sketchiest session I've ever had. But you know what? Whatever, that's the past. This Monday, we got to play it smart. We cannot get injured. I am going kind of slow. I'm sorry for the person behind me. But we got to play it smart because last Monday, I was walking that line. Believe it. I was walking that line. We're going to see what happens. We got to play it smart. We have to push it as hard as we can. The key phrase, as hard as we can. As we can. So, that's the plan. Monday rolls around. We're going to hammer front squat. We're going to hammer, actually not hack squat because I'm switching it up this week. We're going to hammer leg press, and then we're going to do some Johnny bodybuilder sets on the quad extension. And hey, man, since we're not working that day, we might do some dumbbell lunges. That's what I'm thinking. And then Tuesday rolls around. We got to carb up. We got to eat up a lot of food. We got to drink up a lot of water. We got to make sure we're hydrated. We got to make sure we sleep up. We got to make sure we're rested. And we have to anticipate the lift. We have to start thinking about it. Let's start thinking about it now. Let's start thinking about it Sunday, you know, so that when Tuesday rolls around, and this is something that a lot of people can learn from, and I'm gonna mention it in other videos too. You know, you can have a day plan. You can be like, okay, I'm gonna hit a PR on squat in a week. You know, next leg day, I'm gonna hit a PR. And let's say you say that 4 days prior to the leg day. If you're not thinking about that shit, if you're not thinking about it, if you're just coasting, if you're just going about your day, and in the back of your mind, you're not thinking about the fucking war that you're going to go to on leg day, I'm not saying you won't succeed. I'm not saying you won't hit a PR. You should be anticipating it, though. You should be. You should be thinking about it. And for anybody who's looking for advice, maybe that's a good place to start. Really anticipate your lifts. If it scares you, that's kind of fucking good. That's kind of good. If it really scared, leg day kind of scares me. You know what I'm saying? Even bench kind of scares me. It's like, what if I don't perform? That fear, though, can be very powerful. And if you use it right, you can turn that fear into a whole lot of different emotions. A whole lot of emotions. One of them being anger. But that takes time. You know, that takes time to really develop that skill. You know, I'm getting off point. I got to go home. And I got to sleep and I got to rest up. And tomorrow, it's a chill day. Did we perform as well as we wanted to? Maybe we didn't. We didn't. At the same time, we got to recover. We got to recover hard. We're all in. We're all in on this lifting thing. We're all in. We're all in. There's no room for error. There's no room for doubt. There's no room for anything that won't benefit our lifting. So that's the plan. I gotta let y'all go real quick right now.